like Doordarshan rather than any OTT channel, Doordarshan would have a wider reach so that you can tell the story. And you also mentioned about Indira Gandhi giving the freedom and the support. Do you think you have that kind of a freedom in today's day to occupy Doordarshan?
See, what has happened after all these channels have gone autonomous, that it's no longer in the hands of the government. And Doordarshan, unfortunately, is not taking itself seriously. I mean, there are so many classics waiting to be made. There's so much literature in India, in every language. Why can't they be adapted into Hindi and made? I mean, you'll run out of time. Every year you'll probably, do only half that novel. So, it's ultimately the kind of approach and the attitude that people have. People do not want classics, at least not the digital channels or the satellite channels. They do not want classics to be made. They want a certain kind of formula that we all know, which is sort of retrograde kind of thing. And they feel that that's the only thing that draws the women audiences in. So the problem is that people do not have an option. When they had the option of watching all the classics, they watched them, they enjoyed them. Now you're drugging them with something that is absolutely, just not healthy for their minds. But since they do not have an option, they continue to watch that and they continue to get drugged and they continue to be numb. I think the minute someone takes a step to wipe out all this and get all the classics back, they would probably be very happy. There's a channel called Epic, and I know a lot of friends who end up watching the Epic channel because it reminded them of the classics of Doordarshan. But Epic does not have the money to run itself. So all the programs are being repeated. And then there you go. I mean, when you approach Epic and say that please continue the good work, they say there's no way we can continue to work because we're not being funded.
There's a channel called Azad who claim that they have got the freedom to cater to the rural audience because most of them they think has been urban related. So they want to tell rural related stories. So maybe, as you said, they can bridge the gap between the linguistic gap.
See, whether it's rural or urban, that's not the point. I mean, there are so many stories to be told, contemporary or classics. But then, if you pick up a rural story, there are about 20 rural stories that happened over the past 6 years on these satellite channels. And they were absolutely terrible. In the name of rural stories and rural characters, if you see the crudity, if you see the violence, if you see the kind of characters that were displayed on screen, I mean, it's taking advantage of an issue and exploiting it in the wrong way. So, unless you have the right creative minds and curators and advisors, it's not easy to make good television in India.
As you made a mention of many greats, and one of them, you mentioned Govind Nihalini. Those were the days we used to call art cinema and commercial cinema. Was this a perception in the television industry too?
See, I don't know why the term art cinema was probably coined in India because we make the most terrible films in the world. So when a sensible thing comes around, you feel it is art. It's a misnomer. Which so-called art filmmaker would not want his film to be commercial? Every time you sell a ticket, your film is commercial. So we have gotten into some kind of a mind space which is all totally wrong. There is cinema and there is not cinema. So most of the cinema that we make are circuses. Anybody who owns 4 cameras and can blow up 3 cars, they think they're making cinema. But anybody who tells a story, that is clean, pure cinema. But then our audience is not educated. They come up and give you such, oh, the auto rickshaw wala will not understand your kind of cinema. There was a filmmaker, a big banner filmmaker who came up to me, saw my film called Staying Alive, which was purely experimental. And he said, Ananth, I loved your film, but I'll never make a film like this in my life. I thought he was honest. But we have to educate the audience too. Our audience is so diverse, so widespread. Literacy levels go for a toss over here. So even if we have 1% of the population being catered to with sensible cinema, it's a huge percentage that we are educated. So we need to get that movement going.